I wanted to talk about cable and telecom. We talked a bit about it yesterday.
Oh, Jesus, we've been upbeat the whole show. Now you got to bring that up.
Your whole posture just went. It's a Faber Report. I haven't done one of those in ages.
Are you doing
Johnny
Charter?
Gilbert?
Are you doing Altice? Who are you doing
yes,
today?
I'm doing all of it. Morgan Stanley downgrades some things and talks about new entrants.
Yeah.
But, we also have had this week lowered guidance from Altice, from our parent company Comcast, in terms of broadband net additions. In fact, Altice actually now seen as negative, in other words, losing. Comcast still gaining, but not as many had been anticipated. I talked yesterday, and they referenced sort of a change in moving patterns, and then I recalled that I actually sat down with Tom Rutledge, the CEO of Charter, only a few weeks ago, and he tried to explain what's going on, despite the fact that Charter, by the way, has added 3.5 million broadband subs. Take a listen.
People aren't moving. We have the lowest churn, including move churn, that we've ever had in our history. So the pandemic effects in the economy are still real. And, we're growing nicely, but it's a smaller activity marketplace at the moment. So we're comfortable that our long-run trajectory will remain on track. But there are anomalies in the way people are moving about and the way the marketplace is working right now. And our growth is good. It's just not as fast as it's been.
That explains a lot. That was on November 18th. But take a look at Morgan Stanley, because as well, there is also this concern about so-called overbuilders, if you recall, those who come into an existing market, but because things are cheaper now, choose to provide broadband services. And they say, listen, small but incremental gains by new entrants in fixed wireless, that risks creating additional concern over competitive intensity and the durability of pricing power. In addition, the increasingly attractive returns available from broadband have likewise increased the attractiveness of investing in competitive fiber builds. That's something that I asked John Malone. Yeah, he's a guy who knows a little bit about cable about a couple of weeks ago as well when we did an interview. Take a listen.
You could well be in a situation where the incumbent is forced to expend capital that it otherwise wouldn't, or does it early in order to repel a competitive overbuilder. The long experience of overbuilders in our cable industry was quite negative. The ultimate returns were very poor.
Okay. All good to know. Meanwhile, the stocks are all down. Comcast down 7.5% for the year. Charter down almost 5% for the year. And by the way, then we move on to the big telecom names, which really, versus an S&P that's up 25%, this is very significant in terms of what's happened this year. I would note a Moffett-Nathanson note from earlier in the week about pricing in the wireless industry. And by the way, pricing pressure is also coming from Comcast and Charter's Spectrum unit as they move forward with their wireless offerings at very competitive prices. Here's the note. Wireless industry has always been ruthlessly competitive. Its combination of high fixed and low variable costs with instantly expiring capacity is the perfect recipe for price wars. But they go on to say, at the moment, differentiation is at a trough. That makes price competition significantly worse. Everyone has the same handsets. 4G networks are largely viewed as interchangeable. And 5G is still too new, and its application still too distant to shape brand choice. What's left? Price, price, and price. Jim, I mean, these charts, well, you just see it right there. I mean, Altice has been a disaster this year, but Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Charter, Comcast, not places to be, and we've outlined why.
We'd always believed that profitable cash flow would be enough. Turned out to be not enough. We always believed that Verizon and AT&T would save you with their dividend. Well, AT&T obviously no. Verizon just doesn't have the growth that we once expected. And then T-Mobile has great growth and still no one seems to care.
Yeah, I mean, Moffett-Nathanson loves T-Mobile in terms of their pricing power, in terms of the network, but they're in there right now in the mix, and nobody is benefiting at this moment. It will be interesting to see, Carl, as we move into 2022, whether the narrative around these stocks changes.
Yeah. It's been a tough year.